Everybody good? I'm excited to get this show on the road. We're going to start off with a very exciting session today that's including both groups, two different events. And just so you know, we've got one event, which is the national sales meeting for our amazing MegaFood sales team. Can everybody here from MegaFood Sales give me a big... And keep clapping for the other group that's here, the ZingMojo Summit, first ever, amazing natural retailers and some experts that are going to help us make some sense out of things. So we're going to jump right in. Can anybody here tell me what this is? Does anyone not know what this is? Christina, you know what this is? Okay. Does anybody not know what this is? Exactly. So how many of you have childhood memories of the camera that you got maybe on your 7th or 8th birthday? For me, it was my 7th or 8th birthday. I forget, it was 7th or 8th, but it was like this amazing camera. And you had to really think it through. You had to figure out how to open this thing and then drop it in. And when I got my camera, it didn't self-load. You had to kind of pull out a little bit of the film. You guys remember that? And like stick it into the holder, and sometimes it would catch and sometimes it wouldn't, and you would close it, and then sometimes it would make that wacky noise like zzz, zzz, like that, and it meant it wasn't going to take the picture. And so it was a whole experience just to get the camera ready, right? And then you would take these pictures and you never really knew what it had, right? So then you would have to take the film, and we walked into Eckerd. I don't know if anybody heard of Eckerd drugs way back in the day, but we would go to Eckerd and we'd fill it out. And we fill out the whole thing, we drop it in this little envelope, and we hand it to the guy. And I don't know, it was 3 or 4 days later, we'd go back, and maybe they'd have our pictures, and we'd get to look through them. And a lot of times they would do 2 pictures. You guys remember that? That was like the big thing at the time. They would print 2 of everything, and you could give one to somebody, and and then if you wanted a bigger one, you were out of luck, basically. There was no way to get a bigger one, right? So, Kodak really owned their market, right? Kodak was the only game in town, okay? So let's talk a little bit about Kodak. In 1996, their market cap, 1996, right? I mean, that's not that long ago. 1996, their market cap was $28 billion, and they had 140,000 employees. Let that sink in. 1996, $28 billion market cap, 140,000 employees. 140,000, that's crazy, right? So that's in 1996, which is right in here, right there. So the red line is all the photos taken. There's about 57 billion photos taken in 1990, moving up to 60, 70 billion photos taken for Kodak. Pretty cool model, 140,000 employees. In 2012, Kodak went bankrupt. Just like that. Look at this curve here. 86 billion photos taken, early 2000s. This is the number of analog photos, which is that one with the film we were just looking at. 10 years later, in 2011, 380 billion photos are taken. Right? So let that sink in. 86 to 380 billion. It's like 5 times more, right? Look at the curve on that. Kodak got about 4 billion in 2011 photos, analog photos, the year before they went out of business. It happened pretty rapidly. Can anyone tell me who invented the digital camera? Kodak. Kodak invented the digital camera back in here. But Kodak didn't make a whole lot of money on digital cameras. What did they make their money on? Film, processing. Digital cameras didn't fit their model. Didn't fit their model at all. So you had a lot of folks inside of Kodak saying, it'll never take on. People like to load the camera. People like to go and get their film processed, right? They were deluding themselves. Let's flash forward to 2012, a little company called Instagram. 2012, the year that they went out of business. Does anybody know the market cap for Instagram? $1 billion. Does anybody want to know how many employees they had at $1 billion? How many? 100? 13. 13 employees, $1 billion market cap. The next year, guess who they sold to? Facebook. $1 billion for Instagram. Just like that. Just like that, blink of an eye, right? Crazy. That's crazy. So, everybody have an iPhone or some type of device, right? Can you name, and we won't spend, could be here for 10 minutes naming all the things that little device has disrupted. Not just film, clocks, GPS navigation, compasses, alarms, calculators, HP, right? What's that? What was that? Turntables, cassette tapes, everything from a music industry standpoint. iPhone's not been out that long, right? Everybody's got this little tiny device. It has disrupted hundreds of different industries. It's disrupted and put industries out of business. Think about record labels. The record labels went through this with Napster. You guys remember Napster? I was a Napster guy, yeah, I admit it. Don't. Major disruption from this little tiny device. So let's do a little experiment. If I were to take 30 linear steps, and let's just say each step is a meter, so I'm just going to walk 1, 2, 3, right? So when I get the end of my 30 linear steps, how far will I be if each step is a meter? It's not a trick question. 30 meters, right? So if I walk in 30 linear steps, I'm going to be 30 meters away. The issue is that these industries don't walk in linear steps. They walk in exponential steps. So exponential, just hang with me for a minute. Exponential, 1 plus 1 equals, 2 plus 2 equals, 4 plus 4 equals, 8 plus 8 equals, 16 plus 16 equals. Right, so you get the point, right? So if I were to take 30 exponential steps, and each step is a meter, no calculators, it would take you too long. How many meters away am I if I've taken 30 exponential steps? Any guesses? What'd you say? Bethany says 1 billion. You guys, whether on 1 billion? Bigger? Smaller? Bigger or smaller than 1 billion? Smaller? Much smaller? 1,073,741,741. She's the smartest one in the room, I'm telling you. All right? So 30 exponential steps, 30 exponential steps equals 1 billion meters. That's 26 times around the Earth. Okay? 26 times around the Earth, 30 exponential steps. Right? Tracking with me here? 26 times around the Earth. There's this thing called Moore's Law. Anybody heard of that? Basically, it's the doubling of, I'm going to simplify it. It's not exact, so don't get on me if you're a geek like me. But it's basically the doubling of computer power memory technology every year. Actually, it's 18 months. Moore's Law is 18 months, but now they're starting to say it's coming down to about every year. So the doubling. So what's the exponential next step for 1 billion? It's not a trick question. Next step, 2 billion. Then 4 billion. Then 8 billion. Are you following what I'm saying here? So 2 plus 2 in the first couple of years equals 4. 30 years in, which is where we are today, 30 years in after Moore's Law, you're at 2 billion, 4 billion, 8 billion. Think of it this way. Everybody who has the latest, brand new iPhone? Just kind of took it out of the box. Anybody? Huh? Got a couple here. The brand new iPhone, 1 year from now, for the same price, you'll get double what's in that iPhone today. Same price. Let it sink in. This is the New World Order, okay? Everybody following me? So I've been reading a lot. These are 2 books, The Inevitable and Abundance that I'm reading, but these books are talking about things like, the new concept is screening. Screens are going to be everywhere. We're going to rent stuff, not own it. There's no reason to own it. Subscription models. Driverless cars. The prediction is that my 11-year-old will never have to get a license. Remember, 1 plus 1 equals 2 billion. My 11-year-old, you can't fathom that in 5 years driverless cars could be everywhere. But 5 years ago, we couldn't fathom what the iPhone does today. Okay? This is exponential, not linear. This is crazy stuff. And I geek out on it, admittedly. The other thing that's coming is lab on a chip, where you'll be able to give 1 drop of urine, 1 drop of blood. Anybody remember Star Trek? okay? They're saying that'll be here in 5 to 10 years. 1 drop of blood, 1 drop of urine, tell you what's wrong, okay? How does that change Africa? Google's working on ubiquitous Wi-Fi for the planet. They've got these 1 meter square satellites. They want to ring the earth. They want to give Wi-Fi to everybody, free. How does that change Africa? How does that change depressed communities? It gets real fast, okay? Real fast because of this exponential thing. The other thing that was really interesting about the inevitable, Kevin Kelly is the founder of Wired magazine. He's like known as a futurist. He's always been right. He made a point in the book that I really love that I want you guys to sink in. As soon as something is manufactured, there's immediate downward pressure on price. As soon as it comes off the factory floor, as soon as it gets in somebody's hand, there's immediate downward pressure on price. That curve is shortening. Everybody buy that? As soon as you launch something new, the curve is shortening. There's an unavoidable immediate downward pressure on price on anything that we own, anything that is tangible, a product, anything. And the goal is for that to go to 0, to be free. The internet shows us how free works, right? A lot of free stuff on the internet. Can anybody tell me what is actually appreciating in price? Sorry? Yeah? Time savings, intellectual property, yeah? Experience, who said experience? Ding, ding, ding. Corinne gets the gold star. Experiences are appreciating. People are paying more for experiences. People are willing to pay more for experience. And I know several of you in here buy that, right? We've hiked in the mountains, we go away for a week. I mean, we're willing to pay more for experience. Keep that in mind as we go through the next couple of days. Whether you're a rep or a retailer, anybody you are, people are willing to pay more for experiences, okay? So this is the train coming at us, right? This is the visual that I think about a lot. 1 + 1 = 2 billion. 2 billion plus 2 billion equals 4 billion. It's exponential. This isn't linear anymore. It's getting real up in here, and the train is coming at us, right? What are we going to do about it? What the heck does this have to do with mega food or natural retail or ZingMojo or anything else? How does what I just said affect a rep? Anybody? Answer it. How does it affect a retailer? Steve?
I mean, if we can provide experiences that people will pay.
Yeah, there's an opportunity here, right? There's an opportunity to think about things a little differently. How might it affect a store? Same way. I don't want to get caught up just on the experience piece of this, but there's a lot happening at us quickly, is the point. How does it affect our industry? We were talking last night, I think our industry is kind of in adolescence. We're still trying to figure out who we want to be as we grow up. But what a great opportunity to kind of move and jive and think about things a little differently, right? The reality in our industry is that these people aren't going away. We don't want them to go away. We're going to talk a lot about in the ZingMojo Summit. This is a yin and yang thing. We need the people who've got all the consumers to talk about health. We need them talking about organic. We need them talking about non-GMO. It's helpful for our industry. It's helpful, okay? They're not going away. It's going deeper. Amazon, not going away. Absolutely not going to go away, Amazon. Just a few facts on Amazon, and I'm fascinated by this. In 2015, they did $107 billion in revenue. 107 billion. Can everybody see down here? Let me see one on the corner. Anybody know what this line is? Anybody? Profit. That's a tiny line right there, the green and the red. That's their profit. They're not worried about profit. They're $107 billion with no profit. Different model. Can you say different model with me? It's a very different model that we're dealing with. We're going to talk a little bit about that on the ZingMojo Summit. How does this affect a mega food rep? How does it affect a mega food brand? How does it affect our industry? How does it affect the natural retailer? How does this affect us? It's a different world. 1 + 1 = 2 billion. 2 billion plus 2 billion equals 4 billion. This isn't stopping. We can't wish it away. It's coming, right? This quote comes to mind for me. It is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change. It's about adaptability. It's about a willingness to want to change. That's what this is about. Those that are ready to adapt aren't scared. They're not fearful. They're adapting. They're changing. They're willing to change. They're willing to adapt. That's the key message here. The other thing here is what got us here will not get us there. Remember Kodak. I wish I could actually find a place to go buy some of that film, because I would give you all some film to keep with you, right? Just a little canister of that film. Because what got Kodak to 27 billion market cap with 140,000 employees did not get them where they needed to go. What got us here will not get us there. It just won't. It's a whole new world. That applies for reps, it applies for brands, it applies for retailers, it applies for our industry. What got us here will not get us there. Okay? So how do we adapt? How do we adapt as a rep? How do we adapt as a brand? How do we adapt as a retailer? How do we adapt as an industry? That's why we're here. That's why we're here for the next couple of days. Make sense? It's not scary, it's exciting. It's really exciting. I can't wait to be driven around so I can sleep in my car. So we've talked about this adapt thing for a while. I've been on this trust thing. The industry is really talking a lot about trust. Trust is a big deal, and the beautiful thing about the natural industry is we have a lot of trust. The data shows, and we're going to talk about some of this in the ZingMojo Summit, the data shows our industry has good trust, okay? We have some trust, right? Some trust. We've talked a lot about transparency. Transparency is a how to get to the what of trust. Make sense? It's how we get trust. Transparency isn't the objective. The objective isn't just transparency. We do transparency so that we get trust. Make sense? How else might we get trust? I have a theory. My theory is that trust is really relationship-based. And so I started trying to break that down. When I sit down with Clayton and we have a great meal in Minnesota, and we're talking about stuff, and he tells me about his girlfriend, and I tell him about my wife and family and kids, we're swapping stories. You know what I mean? We're getting to know each other, right? That's intimate. When you swap stories with people, when you're good at that, when you can tell your story, that's very intimate. That creates an experience, right? We're connecting it all the way back to that part of our economy that's still appreciating experiences. So one way to build trust is transparency. I would theorize that another way to build trust is experience. It's storytelling. It's the experience of the story between two people. Does that make sense? Can you hang with me on that theory? Because it gets you intimate real quick. I get to know you. I might know about your family. You might know that I grew up in North Carolina. I might know that you're a Gator fan. I might know that you're a Knowles fan. Some people get that. But it is the next step, right? It's the next step. So part of what we're going to be talking about in the next couple of days is, what is your story? What is your personal story? What's the story of your brand? What's the story of your industry? What's the story of your store? Why do you exist? We could do storytelling at all these different levels, right? If we get good at storytelling as an industry, as a rep, as a brand, as a natural retailer, the better we get at storytelling, the more what do we build? Trust. The more trust we build. That's my theory. Can you hang with me on that theory for the next couple of days?